So I've been watching a lot of videos on narcissistic people, and I thought I would share my take on it. Um, I know for sure, absolutely, that my mother was I don't even know she was just narcissistic. I actually think that she had a lot more things going on as well. Um, that would be another whole long video. This one is actually about if you have mental health yourself and you find yourself with a narcissistic partner and you're not sure whether it's your mental health or whether it's them. And this is just my personal experience, and I'm going to talk about how I found out that I was actually in a relationship with a narcissistic person. Basically, I was with this person before I was diagnosed with bipolar, and there was a lot of things. I thought it was all me, and he was very happy to lead me to believe that. And I noticed a lot that he really loved all the what's that word I'm looking for? Like all the praise that he would get for some people saying, "Oh, you're such an amazing partner." Having to deal with something like that, from his mother and his friends and whoever else he was speaking to. And but what he wouldn't tell them is that he could never be bothered to go to appointments with me. I'd have to literally drag him on the 1 and 2 that he went to. He didn't want to know about it. He wasn't interested in my medication. He wasn't interested in my hospital appointments. He would always have a bad stomach or his hip would be hurting. But when it comes to him being praised for dealing with someone like me, he was happy to say how much he had to do, how much effort it was. In reality, he was doing nothing. The only thing he was doing was continually gaslighting me. And basically, it become a thing where my adult son saw him doing it to me one day, saw actual gaslighting, and he approached me. He called him out on it straight away, and then he later approached me and apologized to say that he didn't know. He knew something was going on, but he didn't realize it was that bad. And he'd been doing it to me all these years. What else had been going on? I mean, he was just classic narc. He would give me the silent treatment over any and everything all the time. All the time. Because he knows that I'm a very chatty person. And he knew that by not talking to me, that would really hurt me. But I wouldn't do anything. I would constantly question myself and ask myself why he was not speaking to me. Another thing he would do is if I did have any visitors at the house, any friends over or family or anything, he'd be full of life. He'd be chatting away, saying the utmost, interrupting me actually to the point where people were saying, "No, well, hold on, let her speak." And as soon as they would go, it would be back to the silent treatment. Nothing, absolutely nothing, and it would go on for days, weeks, months. In fact, it got to a point where I asked what I had done wrong this time, and apparently it was the tone of my voice. I hadn't even done nothing wrong to warrant this silent treatment, but the tone of my voice, and he constantly threw my mental health in my face. He used it against me. There was some very horrible situations that I found myself in while being manic, and he made his situation a lot worse. And then when I went back to sort of okay-ish, he then claimed that he'd been depressed at the time. So it was, and then I said, well, if you're that depressed where this stuff is going on, why don't you go to the doctors and get help? And he never would. He also used to drink, he was an alcoholic. Every single day he would drink. That was all my fault, even though he'd been drinking for years before he'd even got with me. Everything was my fault. He was run down because it was my fault. He went on about this hip problem that he got, and he's self-diagnosing himself on the internet constantly, you know, the most dramatic form you could think of. And then it turned out, after when he did have tests, that basically all it was a lazy muscle, where he becomes so inactive, where basically he was sitting on his arse all day doing nothing, even though he led the world to believe that, you know, he couldn't do any more. He was rushed off his feet. It was a lazy muscle. So basically it was a condition where someone who was previously active then decides to sit down all day doing nothing. The second he got that diagnosis, poof, all the pain of his hip went away, because he just, I couldn't get my head around it. Even if I'd been given that diagnosis, that wouldn't have excused the pain. I would have said, I'm still in pain. It might be a really, not a diagnosis that I want to hear, but I'm still in pain. But no, with him, the pain went away straight away. But seriously, when you've got mental health, just be careful, because they will use it against you. They will make you feel that it's all you. Yeah, just look out for the signs with me. As I said, it was a case of that he was all up for getting praise, for, you know, for dealing with somebody like me. But the reality was that he wasn't doing nothing for me apart from exasperating my mental health, making me feel worse, you know. And he just wanted to come across like he was doing the utmost to help me. Also, he didn't have much of a personality. So I'll give you the little example about what he would do. I mean, this is just a small example in thousands of what he would do, but maybe someone out there can relate and it might help them. So he liked to pretend that, you know, he was this big superstar DJ. It was crazy. And I like to play my music quite loud. I have got into trouble a few times for it, and I can be a bit naughty about it. And a couple of times I put on my music and he would come down, turn my music off, or just turn it completely down so you couldn't even hear it. And, you know, he's saying, oh, I can't play music, you know. I'm talking on New Year's Eve. This was on New Year's Eve. And the stereo was halfway up, so it wasn't even loud at that point. Honestly, it wasn't. And he turned it off, just turned it off, saying, oh, you know, you can't play your music. But then he would go on Facebook and say, oh, I play my music loud every day because I'm a top neighbour, like that, like a joke sort of thing. So what I realised is that because he had no personality of his own, he would copy all my traits and post them up like it was him, when in fact he was doing a complete opposite. So that's just a small example. So if that rings a bell, with anyone, that's another sign to look out for. I mean, I could go on about this subject for so long, and I would have to put a better video together that's more well made and stuff, but I just wanted to speak about this quickly while it's in my mind, and I will be putting some more stuff up soon. Thank you. Take care.